TIFU by telling my daughter I beat her. Daughter's daycare has circle time in the morning where they talk about their feelings. It came to my daughter's turn and she told the class she was sad when her daddy beat her. Her teachers were dumbfounded at first. Of course, this kind of thing is concerning for any daycare teacher. Her teachers and I have a good relationship and they know that's not my style of parenting. I don't believe in spanking or anything like that. I racked my brain wondering where she would have heard something like this. Over the weekend we were racing up and down an aisle in Lowe's, and when I made it to the end before her I yelled, "I beat you." We laughed and I let her win the next few times and I thought nothing of it. TLDR. TIFU by telling my daughter I beat her in a foot race at Lowe's, rolling on the floor laughing. I had a similar one to this. My daughter used to fight against teeth brushing, shaking her head and flailing her arms about. I told her if she doesn't sit still while I'm trying to brush her teeth then she could get hurt. She told her teacher that dad said if she doesn't brush her teeth she'll get hurt. Reminds me of this article. TLDR. Boy was overheard talking about how his dad had guns and bombs in his shed. The police had to follow up with the family. Fortnite. His dad's guns and bombs in his shed. In his Fortnite account, tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. 4-year-old gets dad in trouble. A similar, but less wholesome story. My niece, at the age of 8-ish, was playing with a kid down the street. Told her, "We never have food at my house." I lived with my sister and her ex-husband at the time. They fed their kids. She meant they never had snacks they wanted to eat. They had snacks, too, just not those snacks. Without even discussing anything, this lady called CPS. I was accused of doing drugs. Repeatedly. I did not, in fact, do any kind of drug. My brother-in-law, however, recently had a party weekend away from the kids, OFC, where he did some recreational party favors, if you will, failed his drug test and legally was not allowed to be alone with the children. It was a total hot mess. He is a great dad. And while we understood 100% that we was looking after the kiddo, it was a total misunderstanding that led to an unnecessary outcome. That's hilarious! Exclamation mark. Hope they didn't call CPS or something, lol. Not similar but still funny. When my sister was little, our mom took her to her first grade class and she introduced my mom and goes, "This is my father's wife." We went to a small school so everyone knew who we were, and my mom goes, "I'm your mother." And my sister replies, "I know." And the teacher just laughed and laughed. When my son was about 4, he had this habit of slamming his bedroom door. Once, he slammed it and broke the latch mechanism and it got stuck. He was stuck in his room and we couldn't get the door open. After extricating him from his room through the window, we tried a whole bunch of things to get the door open, culminating with me bashing it down by taking a running shoulder at it. He thought it was super funny and exciting. He went to daycare the next day and told everyone I bashed his door down. His daycare lady had some questions for me when I picked him up. I was driving my son and his friend and the car coming towards us swerved. I made a comment about drunk drivers. My son's friend said, "My mom drinks and drives all the time." I told her what he said. She brings coffee in a refillable mug in the car. I did this to my parents. There was some emotions sheet about our fathers we had to fill out in early elementary school, and for unhappy I put when he beats me 4 or 5 times in a row. I meant it cards, but didn't write that part down. It was the 70s, so I don't think much came of it. But my mom kept that paper around for a while and we had a good laugh about it when I was older. When I was 2, my dad went out to dig a hole to plant a tree. Unknown to him, I went and got my orange plastic shovel, followed behind, and started to dig right behind him. When he went to throw the dirt, he hit me with the shovel and I had to go to the ear for stitches. What happened? My daddy hit me with a shovel. My mom had to have me explain the rest of the story too. My niece told her parents that they liked playing the naked game with the guy. This obviously freaked people out. She was talking about Operation. Quite often have a race with my 6-year-old to get her upstairs to bed when she is stalling. Have had to ask my partner more than once to please not say, "Best get going or daddy's going to beat you." Been dreading a similar call from school one day. Reminds me of the time I nannied a 4-year-old at home and we watched Finding Nemo with my husband in the bedroom, where the TV was at the time. When her mom picked her up and asked how it went, she said, "Me and Mr. and Miss Anthropoid went to bed together." Quote. Next time, I win. You lose. Loser, 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 loser. Relevant dance. Had something similar with my kids. They told their teacher that I left them behind when I went to the store. Caused a whole uproar and CPS got involved. Come to find out from CPS during their interview with me that apparently they meant that I left them behind in the car while I went into the store, which was a gas station, to pay for gas. The CPS worker and I had a pretty big laugh. My mom teaches kindergarten and one of the kids said her dad does nasty things when they're alone together. They asked her some more about it, but couldn't get more information. When the dad came to pick her up, my mom asked him about it and he started laughing, saying he often farts around her as a joke. My mom asked the kid if that was what she meant to be 100% sure. And yes, that was it. I took a lot of Spanish in college and one of my professors, who took it upon himself to teach both Spanish and English to his kids at the same time, had to deal with the problem of him chasing his young daughter around and her saying, "Daddy is molesting me." Quote. In Spanish, molestar means to bother and is a perfectly good word to use in Spanish. Not the kind of word you want to use as an accidental cognate. Oops. My 4-year-old niece gets super mad at me when I tell her that her grandmother is my mother, lol. At this rate, you better not be playing Michael Jackson's iconic song at home anytime soon. Exclamation mark. GIF. My 5-year-old, now 27-year-old, son told his kindergarten teacher that his stepfather beats him and his cousin up all the time. Teacher is an old family friend, so she called me to see what was going on. Wrestling. They watched wrestling 2 nights a week. Went to see matches and watched tapes dug up from my Mills attic of 80s wrestlers. 6 feet 4 inches X would put couch cushions on the floor and let the 4 feet tall boys wrestle him to the ground until it was time for bed. Then he'd pin and tickle them until he beat them and they tapped out. Idiots. Thankfully wholesome.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.